On to the worst story of the week. So there's a brouhaha among us social media types on Twitter's announcement that two things that they want to change. One is to stop showing share counts of tweets in the Twitter buttons that appear on websites. And so the question that that creates is, if you are not going to let people know what the social sharing is, how are you going to justify to the bean counters that this is a good investment to be involved in social media? I mean, that's one question. The other question is, why would brands be involved when they're not quite sure what is happening with their content? And so there's a really lively conversation going on Facebook and on Don Sturgill's blog, which is warfareplugins.com. We'll have the links. And the other thing that Twitter announced is that they're considering moving beyond the 140 character limit, which of course is the heart and soul of Twitter. And if you're not going to have the 140 character on Twitter, then you're not going to be on Twitter. And so in addition to long form product, they're talking about how removing links and user handles and maybe will expand the limit of 140 characters. I could live with that, but we really don't need Facebook on Twitter. We just don't. Twitter is absolutely desperate to find new ways to attract users, and they want to mix things up. But, I think that would make Twitter not useful to me. And right now, it's kind of my main source of news and information on the internet. And I love the 140 character limit because I think it makes you be concise.
Yeah, there's something to limitations creating creativity, right? The
better writing
position of limits creates better writing and creativity. But also, so two things on that. I mean, both those points. One, I can't imagine they're taking away the metrics because you're going to have to give those to advertisers or who's going to advertise if they don't know how many people retweeted your tweet or whatever. I just can't imagine they're taking that away. I think what they're talking about is taking away the count, the view count or the like count or the retweet count from the buttons that are on websites for a given page and how many times that page has been retweeted. And that too doesn't make a lot of sense because that's your social proof. That
exactly
encourages the people who are viewing the article to retweet it to extend that content, and that's in Twitter's best interest.
Well, there's a backstory here. And the backstory is that Twitter bought a company called GNIP, and it is a company that charges a bloody fortune for access to the Twitter fire hose, which clearly it's going to have because Twitter owns it. So now you look at the companies that are making their living by using the Twitter API, and what's going to happen, according to what a lot of people are saying, is that only the companies that probably it will be resold by the companies that can afford to pay the really high fees that GNIP is going to charge. That's going to go to Twitter, of course, because Twitter owns them. So it's a money play.
Yeah. You probably need to advertise on Twitter in order to get that that data. And I don't know that's necessarily going to be really expensive, but you probably have to pay to get it. So I see that, but I think you'll also see the engagement numbers go down because people aren't just they're not gonna see the social proof on the web pages to prompt them to save stuff. Now, what the other point was the length of the tweet. So if it's a matter of removing like handles from the count of the 140 characters, that's a distinction without much of a difference. Okay, that's fine. If it's long form like blogging, it depends on how they implement it, but I think they have to do it.
Why?
Because LinkedIn Publishing is doing it. Facebook just rolled out Facebook Notes upgrading. There's Medium. Everybody's got long-form content, and it's a way to populate your social channel with original content that other people are creating. You don't have to pay to create. So it creates your channel. It makes your channel more of a go-to place for original content. So I think the market is forcing them to do this, and I'm not necessarily against it. I just think it has to be implemented in a way that doesn't wreck Twitter. So maybe Twitter,
no matter what
as we know it now, as we know it now, remains the same, but there's an additional blogging tool that you can use as well. And so you can create content on Twitter that's long-form content, but the tweets are still 140 characters essentially. That's how I do it if I were Twitter.
Well, that's what Facebook Notes is.
Yep.
I'm hearing feedback. I think it's your speakers.
Okay, well, I can plug in my other microphone and see if that works.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we're not having good sound effects tonight.
We're having some problems today.
Okay.
Yelp. Okay. There's a new tool out called People. P-E-E-P-L. It's Yelp for People, basically. This is from a Washington Post article by Caitlin Dewey. And the People app allows anyone to rate anyone you know. So it's a 1 to 5 star rating system. You can do it with or without somebody's permission. You can opt out once a person puts your name in the People system. It's there unless you violate the site's terms of service. And you can't delete bad or biased reviews because, of course, that defeat the whole purpose of the app. You must also affirm that you know the person in one of 3 categories: personal, professional, or romantic. To add someone to the database who hasn't been reviewed before, you must have the person's cell phone number. So they're trying to put in some accountability measures. Positive ratings post almost immediately. Negative ratings are queued in a private inbox for 48 hours in case of disputes. If you haven't registered with the site and you can't contest the negative ratings because you haven't registered, your profile will only show positive reviews. The scheduled for a late November launch. It just sounds like an idea that's half-baked.
The worst idea to come along from a long time.
I mean, sort of at first blush, it almost seems like, you got Rate Your Professor, you Rate My Professor, you got Yelp, you got all these other things. It sounds like a logical extension of that whole genre of social media. But when you start thinking about the implications of it, I don't know that anybody's going to really use this.
Well, Michael Hussey, who is the creator of Rate Your Professor, says this is the worst idea he's ever heard.
There you go.
So Facebook did something really stupid this week. I'm still hearing feedback. They banned about site loss. And Dave, mute your computer. Okay. They banned an ad about site loss and said that it was offensive. And this was from an article in The Guardian. And this was an ad from the Royal Institute of Blind People in England. And the ad was, Facebook said it was degrading. And basically what they were trying to say was that hospitals do not have people on staff to advise those people who have found out all of a sudden that they're going to go blind and what services they'll have and what services they need. And the ad is to promote the idea of bringing these advisors into hospitals. And Facebook banned it. It said that it was vulgar and profane and threatening. I mean, it was just a horrible idea. And then they turned around and went, oh, okay. We'll change our mind. And, there was this whole big social media storm, so they changed their mind. And when they changed their mind, the ad ran, and I'm sure it was very helpful to a lot of people.
Well, I was gonna blame that on an algorithm, but I think that the Facebook ads are reviewed, so we can't blame that on an algorithm. Well, at least they did the about face, so there's that. Another bit of Facebook news, we talked about Facebook Notes upgrade. So we mentioned it last week, but I had a chance to take it for a drive. So I actually posted Facebook Notes, and it's actually pretty good. It's pretty basic, basic blogging stuff. You put in your big hero image, and you write in your title. You do your formatting, basic formatting of bulleted lists, numbered lists. Bold, italic. You can create links. The links are no follow, so there's no SEO benefit from creating links in it. There's no real metrics attached to it beyond the likes, shares, and comments. So you don't really know how many people have seen it. The least they could do is give us some view counts. But so far so good. So I did a post on Minneapolis Skyway etiquette, which we've talked about in the past. episodes. So interesting development. And again, I think it fits in the larger scheme of LinkedIn publishing. Now we got Facebook Notes publishing. Soon we'll have Twitter publishing.
Well, interestingly, I tried it for a page. I don't know, did you do it for a page or individually?
I did it for individually, but you can do it for
pages. It didn't give the big image on the top, but it had more editing stuff in the body. So it was sort of an interesting thing, and I don't know why they would do it that way, but I did it for a client, and I did one for one of our posts actually. So I don't know if that's going to change, or it's all just rolling out right now. So the other thing that happened this week on Twitter that really made the front page of the New York Times, and that doesn't happen often, is that there was the hashtag Shout Your Abortion, and that was from a story by Tamar Lewin at the New York Times. And basically, Amelia Bono, who has since had to go into hiding, said that what she was trying to do was the opposite of silence. She wanted women not to be silent and feel bad about having an abortion. She wanted them to come forward and say, I had an abortion. And, so it was, it went viral, and it got 150,000 tweets showing how volatile and emotional this issue still is so many decades after the Supreme Court declared it legal, that there was immediately feedback and death threats to her, and it was a horrible thing. So NARPAL, Pro-Choice New York, tweeted, can you still be pro-life if you threaten the creator of Shout Your Abortion into hiding? And there were 8,000 Shout Your Adoption hashtags that started after that. So, it's an emotional issue. It's a very volatile issue. And it's one of those things that happens on social media where things get really ugly really fast and there's no way to stop it. And there's something fundamentally wrong with that.
Yeah, I kind of think that we are still finding our way. This is, the infancy really of the evolution of the internet. We're still at it, and there's a large degree of civility that needs to come into play as we're discussing volatile issues, especially because it goes over the top way too often, unfortunately,
and way too fast.
Yeah. This is a story from Quartz that I found fascinating. Millions of Facebook users have no idea they're using the internet. It's a story on Quartz by Leo Morani, and it reports on surveys of Indonesians and Nigerians. 11% of Indonesians who said they used Facebook also said they didn't use the internet. In Nigeria, 9% of Facebook users said that. And the thing is that they hear about Facebook. They want to use the internet because of Facebook. They get on Facebook. They stay within Facebook. They don't follow links outside of the Facebook. And Facebook is to them the internet, but they don't even think they're using the internet because Facebook's their universe. The point of the article is that I'll quote from the article, the expectations and behaviors of the next billion people who come online will have a profound effect on how the internet evolves. If the majority of the world's online population spends time on Facebook, then policymakers, businesses, startups, developers, nonprofits, publishers, and anyone else who is interested in communicating with them will also, if they are to be effective, go to Facebook. That means that they too must then play by the rules of one company, and that has implications for us all. It's sort of the argument I was making with Apple last week, the walled garden versus Google in the open web. And so you've got on one side Apple with their mobile operating system and their apps, and Facebook with their proprietary walled garden, and then Google, which is built on top of the internet, on top of the open web, on top of open standards. And so it's a pay-to-play versus a level playing field kind of situation. I came up, it's 1995, designing websites because of the internet, the wide open internet. I taught myself because all the information was there. I learned how to create websites and stuff, and there was, at that time, a level playing field. That's getting less and less possible now with the huge companies sort of creating their own universes and raising the price for all of us. And I think it's to the detriment of us all. So very topic dear to my heart.
And every one of the major players wants to be the ruler of the universe, and they're all taking steps toward that. And you know, we're kind of pawns in this game, and I don't like that feeling one bit. So does that bring us to better news?
It does indeed.
I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so Joan Stewart, the publicity hound, is always sending me wonderful dog things. And the best Halloween costume of the year, or perhaps ever, is Pope Dog. And it's on Twitter and Instagram. And it's a $14 costume by a company called California Costume. And it immediately trended on Twitter. And, you know, it has like the Pope hat and the shawl and the whole thing. And the dogs look absolutely adorable. I mean, it just... I want one for Benny, you know, but Benny's Jewish, so I don't know if that matters. You can still be Pope Dog and be Jewish, I'm sure.
That's funny. I on the way back from St. Paul this afternoon, I passed a church and they were giving animal blessings.
Oh yeah, that's the feast of St. Francis.
I didn't know that was the thing.
Oh yeah, we do that every year. And in New York, at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, they go all out. They bring camels and elephants, and I mean, it's incredible. And you can't even get in anymore. But back when you could, I went. And the amazing thing, everybody brought their dogs and their cats and their gerbils and their snakes. I mean, they were every kind of creature that people keep, rats and birds. And the cool thing was nobody barked. Nobody hissed, nobody peed on the floor. They kind of thought that they were in church, you know? And afterwards, you could go out and have your animal individually blessed. And when we go in my neighborhood, everybody comes up and the priest blesses your animal and you get to take a picture with the priest and everything. You know, it's just like, it's in every church. It's cool.
It's so funny. That just shows you how far our attitudes towards animals have come over the years. I mean, they used to be based from the cave ages until the farming, the agrarian economy. There were things that need to be productive. You know, the animals needed to do something and be economically viable and productive. And now they are our companions. They are our best friends. They are deserved of being blessed.
Well, the Feast of St. Francis and the blessing of the animals has been going on for a really long time. I mean, I guess you don't know that because you don't have a dog, maybe. But in New York, it's a major big deal. I mean, every church does it. And there's a church in my neighborhood where you can always bring your dog to church, like every week. And, you know, almost makes me want to convert. So you probably know, because I've mentioned this more than once, Facebook's not my favorite application, but I'm really impressed with so much of what Mark Zuckerberg does in good. And Facebook has announced that they're going to provide free internet connectivity to refugee camps. That's from a story in the New York Times by Somini Sengupta. And Zuckerberg, you know, he's an enabler of human rights, and he wants to be a force for peace. And he said that they want to help the United Nations bring connectivity. And he said, it's not all altruism. He said, we'll all benefit when we're all more connected. And, you know, of course, drawing new users to Facebook is good for the bottom line. But the altruistic part of that is the Trump. And I think that, I hate to use the word Trump, I think that is really commendable.
It's enlightened self-interest, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So apparently it's Facebook all the time, because I got another Facebook thing. So Facebook is adding video profile pics, which I think is kind of a cool idea. This is from a TechCrunch article by Josh Constein. So new changes coming for Facebook. You can pin featured photos to the top of your profile. You can have temporary profile pics. So this is when you're trying to support a cause and you change your profile pic to support that cause. But a lot of people don't change their profile after the fact, after the cause has ended and whatever. So this makes it much easier to do that. So you can have temporary profile pics. Also makes it much easier to have ad hoc profile pics for, like, when you're on vacation, you want to highlight some of the things you're doing on vacation or whatever, concert, whatever it is. New 100 character bio. It's a mobile optimized design. Your profile pic is centered in the middle of your profile for the mobile optimized design. You can check it out. It's live now on mobile, so check out your Facebook profile on mobile. 7-second looping video for profile pics with sound. It plays automatically when people visit your profile, but the sound is muted, so you have to click on it to get the sound, but you will have sound. And so I think that's a great idea. I'm gonna test that out and play around with it, and I think that'll be a good addition.
So Robert Scoble, who ruined
Google Glass.
Google Glass for so many people by taking a picture of himself in the shower wearing them, he has one on Facebook, and it's him, and he's coming up really close so that you see his eyeball. It's really rather unpleasant. And
so maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe Scoble has wrecked that for everybody too.
He's just playing, but really it's funny, you know. So what's happening on YouTube is pretty interesting. They started to offer shopping ads, and so you'll be able to look at products on apparel, shoes, sunglasses, whatever, and buy them. So it's kind of like QVC and YouTube, you know, together, and it's on I mean, really, on mobile alone, YouTube reaches more 18 to 34-year-old and 18 to 49-year-old people than any cable network in the United States. This is from a story on Real SEO, and the reporter is Greg Jarboe. And there's been an over 40% growth in viewership of product videos on YouTube, everything from reviews and tutorials to unboxing. I never will understand that. And 1 in 5 18 to 24-year-olds, according to a Google survey, say that they go to YouTube to find out what's cool to purchase. So they're going to look a little like the YouTube interactive cards, and it'll be an icon in the corner, and you click on it, and the card drops down, and you'll be able to scroll through the images and the pricing information and the links to buy the products featured in the purchasing. And you go to the retailer's website to read reviews and buy, and they'll be sold on an auction-based system like shopping ads on Google search, and the top ones shown to users will have to do with contextual and relevancy and the algorithms that they use. And they're starting to test these now, and they should be available to all AdWords for video advertisers sometime in the next few months. I think that's a very interesting development.
Well, I think, you know, the sort of heated up advertising wars with Facebook introducing the ability to block, or Apple introducing the ability to block ads, and Facebook having such a rich demographic profile of everybody to target ads so effectively. Google is doing some things to shake things up as well. That included one of the bigger ones, and I should have put this in the show notes because this is a huge story, is the ability to upload your email list to your AdWords account and target those people based on everything that Google knows about those people. And so, you know, Facebook has lookalike audiences based on email lists. You could do this with Google now too. So that's a huge development. It'll make Google advertising much more effective too. So
much for privacy. Well, you know, we don't have any. It doesn't matter. I believe that takes us to shiny new stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, I have Zencastr, which basically is for podcasts, and it might solve our audio problems because it makes everybody's audio on the same level and gives each person a separate audio feed, which then is incorporated into the video. Ray Hills used it on the show this week, and so we all had to sign in so that you know, our levels were adjusted by the app. It's an interesting app, and I think we ought to take a look at it.
So that is fascinating. Does it record video? Does it work with YouTube? Does it?
It does work with YouTube, yes, but it doesn't record video. It's just picking up the audio that's part of your video in some way that I don't understand.
Okay, all right, interesting. So this is sort of this could be a podcast-related app. This is called Catch.me, KAKATCH.me. It captures Meerkat and Periscope broadcasts. So you connect it to your Twitter account. You add hashtag catch to the live stream title of your Periscope or Meerkat stream, and then you tweet your stream, and it, based on that hashtag, understands that there's a new stream to be recorded and starts recording. It captures comments and hearts. It will send a link to you on Twitter with the replay. You can play and rewind it, your video, and then you can scroll through your comments as well. So a cool new tool for capturing that feature that should be included on Meerkat and Periscope, but for some reason isn't.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's a hole in the market. Somebody picked it up and did it. The other thing that I meant to put in there is 36 free resources for making unique images for your posts. You know, it's been proven, this comes from Sprout Social, and it's been proven that any tweets or other posts that have images will be reshared 50% more than those that don't. So you want to have images, but coming up with them is not always easy. So these are places where you can make your own images, and some of them, all of them have a free application. Some have some paid features that you can add, but there's some really good things in there. So take a look at that.
Very cool. Very cool. So daily numbers, how consumers use social media for customer service. And this is, I'm going to read the questions and tell you the percentage of people who said yes to the question. Have you ever used social media to ask a customer service question? A third of respondents said that, 33%. Thinking about the last time you used social media to ask a customer service question, did the brand or organization respond? 83% said yes. That's a pretty high number. Do you have a more favorable view of a brand or organization that responds to customer service questions, praise, or complaints on social media? 50% do. Have you ever used social media to praise a customer brand's customer service? 50% said yes. And have you ever used social media to complain about a brand's customer service? 38% said yes. So that's a smaller percentage, but the people who do complain about it tend to be pretty vociferous about it. So you need to listen. As we said all the time, you need to listen to what people are saying about you, because your brand is what people say it is.
Isn't that amazing how fast brands have to react? I mean, and you don't, and one really, I'm actually going to be on a TV show in Canada about complaining on Tuesday night, and unfortunately can't see it here, but I'll have a DVD of it afterwards. And it's so interesting. There's a reporter who interviewed me like in 2009, I think, because at one point I had this business called Rent-A-Fetch, where pre-internet I used to complain for people because people never had the voice. They couldn't get a response, and so I would write letters to the president or the chairman, and I'd say, you did this heinous thing to this person, and you have, how could you do that? You really have to make good on that, and they would. Because you were talking to somebody who could actually do something about the problem, and people felt so powerless because they didn't know how to get that information. So now everybody can do it. Anybody with a computer can reach out. They go on Twitter and make themselves heard. It's a fascinating thing. So, I'm telling them on Tuesday, I don't do that anymore, but you could do it for yourself. But complaining is, companies can't ignore it, because one angry person can really cause you some pain. So we are going to do a post-show BLAB, and that link is on Twitter, on the show page, and on BLAB. And so please do come over there and join us, and we'll do that at 7:45, and we'll be there for about 15-20 minutes. And Dave, you want to tell them where we are online?
Well, indeed. Thanks for watching episode 114 of the On Social Media Show. We will have links to all of the stuff that we talked about on BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/114. Let us know what you think of the show by leaving us a review, good or bad. You can find places to give us a review at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com/love. I'm David Erickson. You can reach me on Twitter at @DErickson. My blog is e-strategy blog. I also blog at creativepr.com/blog. You can find BL at What's Next on Twitter. Her blog is whatsnextblog.com. She is the president, CEO, and chief poobah of Beyond, or Maximum-Plus, Maximum-Plus.com. And she writes for Ad Age at Well. Again, the show, you can find us on BeyondSocialMediaShow.com. We're on Twitter at BL.